March 14th, 2023. Phoenix, Arizona. A 3-bedroom house goes up for auction. Starting bid, $240,000. A young couple, Marcus and Diana, have been saving for 7 years. They have $260,000 ready. They've done everything right. Pause. 2 seconds. They lose. Not to another family, not to a richer couple. They lose to an algorithm, a faceless corporation operating out of a skyscraper in New York. Places an automated cash bid $100,000 above asking price. In 11 seconds. Pause. 2 seconds. Marcus and Diana go home to their apartment. Their landlord is the same corporation that just outbid them. This is happening in every American city, every day. And the company doing it, you've heard of it. You've just never seen what it's buying. Welcome to Apex Abode. What you're about to see has been documented in congressional hearings, federal investigations, and reports from Harvard, Yale, and the Federal Reserve. This is not a theory. This is what happened. Between 2010 and 2025, institutional investors, corporations, hedge funds, and private equity firms purchased more than 3 million single-family homes in the United States. 3 million homes. At peak buying, in 2022 and 2023, these corporations were purchasing 1 in every 4 homes sold in major American cities. 1 in 4. In Atlanta, 1 in 3 homes sold went to a corporation. In Phoenix, 44%. In Charlotte, North Carolina, 60% of homes purchased in some zip codes went to institutional investors. Here are the companies doing this. Blackstone, the world's largest private equity firm, owns or controls over 300,000 residential units in America. Invitation Homes, spun off from Blackstone, is the single largest landlord of single-family homes in American history. American Homes, For Rent, Progress Residential, First Key Homes. They are not buying these homes to live in them. They are buying them to make certain that you can never own one. Here's how it works, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. These corporations use proprietary AI systems, algorithms, that scan every property listing in America in real time. The moment a house hits the market, the system calculates its rental yield, neighborhood appreciation trajectory, and target purchase price in milliseconds. If the numbers work, the system places an all-cash offer, automatically. No inspection, no contingency, almost always above asking price. A human family running their mortgage pre-approval, scheduling a showing, gathering documents takes days. The algorithm takes 11 seconds. This is not an accident. This is the design. Marie Stein, a housing researcher at Harvard's Joint Center for Housing Studies, testified before the Senate Banking Committee in 2024. She said, and I am quoting directly from the transcript, "These firms have created a structural advantage that no individual buyer can compete with. It is not that they are richer, it is that they have removed the human element from the transaction entirely. Removed the human element. And here is what that means in practice. In 2022, Invitation Homes purchased 14,000 homes in a single quarter. 14,000 in 3 months. That is 155 homes every single day. While the average American family spends 172 days searching for a home they can afford, and in most major markets, never finds one. But statistics are one thing. Let me tell you about real people. Sarah Chen is 32 years old. She's a registered nurse in Dallas, Texas. She earns $68,000 a year, which puts her in the top 30% of American earners. She has saved $80,000 for a down payment. In 2022, Sarah made offers on 11 different homes. She lost all 11, 8 of them to Invitation Homes. Today, Sarah rents a 3-bedroom house in Garland, Texas, from Invitation Homes. Her monthly rent, $2,100. Per year, that's $25,000, going to the same corporation that prevented her from owning a home. James and Patricia Moreno, both teachers, bought their first home in Atlanta in 2019 for $220,000. By 2024, Invitation Homes had purchased 47 homes on their street. Their neighborhood has changed completely. Long-term neighbors moved out. The new renters turn over every 12 to 18 months. We used to know everyone on this block, Patricia told a local news station. Now we wave at strangers who are gone 6 months later. And then there is Robert Kimura, 63 years old, small business owner in Memphis. He sold his house in 2021, planning to downsize after his children moved out. He expected to buy something smaller within 6 months. He is still renting 3 years later, because every home he can afford is bought before he can get to it. Let me give you the numbers that the media isn't putting together in one place. In 2006, before the financial crisis, institutional investors owned less than 2% of single-family rental homes in America. Today, estimates range between 12 and 18%. In some markets, much higher. The average home price in America in 2019, $226,000. The average home price in 2025, $398,000. A 76% increase in 6 years. Average American wage increase in the same period, 23%. The math does not work for regular people. The math wasn't designed to work for regular people. Here's what Blackstone made on residential real estate between 2020 and 2024. $43 billion in profits. $43 billion. And here is the detail that should be on the front page of every newspaper in America. The tax rate Blackstone pays on those profits is lower than the tax rate paid by the nurse who can't afford to buy a home. Because carried interest, the profit structure used by private equity, is taxed at 20%. A capital gains rate. A nurse earning $68,000 pays an effective federal rate of 22%. A corporation that made $43 billion in profit from buying homes that nurses can't afford pays 20%. 2 seconds. This is legal. This was designed to be legal. So where does the money go? When Sarah Chen pays $2,100 in rent to Invitation Homes, that money doesn't stay in Dallas. It flows upward through a financial structure that is specifically engineered to extract maximum value and distribute it as far from the local community as possible. Invitation Homes is publicly traded. Its largest shareholders include Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street, the same firms that manage your 401k. So, in the cruelest possible irony, if you have a retirement account, You may be one of the investors profiting from the system that is pricing you out of homeownership. Your retirement savings are funding the corporation that outbid you for your house. In 2022, Invitation Homes reported a net income of $750 million. In that same year, they increased average rents by 14%, the largest single-year increase in the company's history. When a family loses their job and can't make rent, Invitation Homes has one of the most aggressive eviction practices in the industry. In 2021, they were cited by the National Housing Law Project for initiating eviction proceedings after a single missed payment. One payment. These are not landlords. They are extraction machines, wearing the face of a landlord. Congress knows about this. They've known for years. In 2022, Senators Jeff Merkley and Sherrod Brown introduced the End Hedge Fund Control of American Homes Act. The bill would have prohibited hedge funds from owning single-family homes and required them to sell existing holdings over a 10-year period. The bill never passed. In 2023, a bipartisan group of representatives introduced the American Neighborhoods Protection Act, which would have imposed a penalty tax on institutional investors purchasing single-family homes. That bill also died in committee. Why? Between 2020 and 2024, the private equity and real estate industry spent over $450 million on lobbying in Washington, D.C. $450 million. For context, that is more than the pharmaceutical industry spent in the same period. The firms buying your neighborhoods have spent more money lobbying Congress than the companies that make your medicine. And the result? In the past 5 years, Congress has passed exactly 0 legislation limiting institutional ownership of single-family homes. 0. Meanwhile, 27 states have introduced or are considering their own legislation. Some have passed, but for now, at the federal level, the algorithm keeps running, and the homes keep selling. If current trends continue, and there is no structural reason to believe they won't, here is what housing economists are projecting. By 2030, institutional investors will own between 17 and 21 million single-family homes in the United States. That is 1 in every 5 homes in America. Under corporate ownership. The Urban Institute has modeled what this means for homeownership rates. Their projection: by 2030, the U.S. homeownership rate could fall below 60% for the first time since 1965. Below 60%. In 1965, the government responded to falling homeownership rates by passing the Housing and Urban Development Act, the Fair Housing Act, and creating programs specifically designed to help Americans build wealth through property ownership. Today, in 2025 and 2026, home ownership rates are falling for a completely different reason. Not poverty, not lack of ambition, not lack of effort. Because a corporation with an algorithm and unlimited cash is sitting at the same table. And it doesn't need a mortgage. And one more thing. Amazon, Google, and Microsoft have all filed patents in 2024 related to AI-driven residential real estate acquisition systems. The technology companies are coming for the housing market. What happens when the richest companies in human history start buying homes? So what can you actually do? First, know who owns your rental property. In most states, this is public information. Search your county property records. If your landlord is an LLC with a strange name, search that LLC. You may be surprised. Second, there are 12 states that have now passed or are actively considering legislation limiting institutional ownership. California, Minnesota, North Carolina. If your state is not on that list, your local representative's office has a phone number. Third, if you are buying a home and you keep losing to cash offers above asking, you can request that sellers consider your offer under owner-occupant preference. Some sellers specifically choose not to sell to corporate buyers. Some don't know they have that option. And finally, share this video. Not because views matter to us, though they do, but because the only reason this is still happening is because most people don't know it's happening. Now you do. Marcus and Diana, the couple from Phoenix, are still looking. As of the time we filmed this, they have made 22 offers. They have lost 19 of them to institutional investors. They are still trying because they still believe that somewhere in America, there is a house that an algorithm hasn't bought yet. In our next video, we've obtained internal documents from a major institutional landlord showing their actual maintenance response protocols and what they tell their employees to say when a tenant calls about a broken heater. You're going to want to see this. Subscribe, hit the bell. This is Apex Abode. We investigate what the biggest money in the world is doing to the places where you live.